it's about that time right here on KAZ Radio. None other than one of my most favorites. And look, will y'all look at her? None other than my friend and yours, our sister. Man, that is a sharp outfit. Lady Gilmore, queen on the scene. How you doing, Lady Gilmore?
Doing well today, my brother. Doing well. Peace and good day to my brothers and sisters. What a wonderful day. Look at God. Friday, snow everywhere. Saturday, he cleared it up, and Sunday it's all gone. So to our favorite computer technicians, God is still running this show. How about that, Pastor?
Amen.
He's still running it.
Yes, ma'am.
No matter how he gives us the advancement of technology, he said, I am who I am. I'm excited today. I have another one of my spiritual daughters. I call them my warriors. Nothing like having the warriors out here carrying on our community engagements, the things that our community needs. And you all need to sit back and relax. Her name is Yvonka Hall. Check that out. Yvonka. So that name means greatness. She's a young lady that don't mind pushing her sleeves up, sitting back, balling them fists up, ready to go and do the Lord's work. Welcome, daughter. So glad to have you here today.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, always, always. We have a lot to talk about today because the journey that you are on, it is a continuous assignment from the Lord. He ordered your steps with the organization, making you the executive director, because he knew that if he placed it in your heart, you would pick that torch up and keep it going. Let's talk about the organization.
Wow. So I run the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. It's the only coalition in the state of Ohio that focuses exclusively on African American health disparities. We started it and we formed in 2011 after we hosted a local conversation on health disparities here. So during the local conversation on health disparities, we realized that African Americans didn't have a voice at the table. That when we looked at all the other communities, the Hispanic community, the Asian Pacific Islander community, the Native American community, and the African immigrant community that's here, all of them had coalitions, and no one was coalescing around us. And so for me, I looked at it and said, okay, someone's going to pick this up. And I, went out to other organizations that I thought had a focus on African Americans and asked if they would be willing to do a coalition. And nobody took the bait. And after it didn't happen, I decided to do it myself.
Wow.
That's what God does. When we ask around, and are you part of it and can you help? When we get enough no's, that's a sign that we need to grab the baton and begin to work, because the Lord is going to always have somebody to stand in the gap, and you're the one that he chose to stand in the gap and find out about our mental illness, which is painful. Back in some of the generations back, they didn't understand what it was when they would fall out and go to talk in a language and the behavior. Mm-hmm. But now that we've come up to this century, so what did you do when you found out?
So when I decided to form the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition on August the 1st in 2011, I kind of sat on it for a few years. I didn't do anything with it. And what happened was the 137 shots, Tanisha Anderson and Tamir Rice. Mm-hmm. And so when I saw that there was like no outrage that I thought should have happened, it was, how do I use what I have in order for the community to get what they need? And so I was very comfortable at hosting these local conversations on disparities. And so I was in Florida on vacation with my son. I took the final police report with me and insisted that I was going to read it while I was there. And I read it. And when I was there, I asked God to give me what I needed to do when I went home. And when I got up, he gave me very clearly that I was going to host this local conversation on the Department of Justice. And he gave me the 4 pieces that I would be looking at, the systemic issues that were impacting the police. I came back, he told me who would help me and who wouldn't help me. He said, it was very clear, like, you're going to call these people and let them know. You're going to ask them, but they're going to tell you no. But you're going to go to who I told you would tell you yes. And so that's what I did. And the people who he said would say no, said no. And the people who said yes, said yes. 35 people met in my living room and dining room. I gave them their assignments. And I put it on Facebook, said that we need refreshments for people. I didn't know how many people would come. I just told them we need refreshments for hundreds. I needed folders, I needed notebooks, I needed paper, ink pens, and every day when I would come home, it would be stuff lined up at my door. Like, it would be boxes outside, snacks, refreshments, all the stuff is sitting outside. And so when I gave everybody their assignment, you know, we had scribes, we had room monitors, we had floaters who were the ministers, because ministers are used to getting a lot of information in chunks and then taking it down and breaking it into bite-sized pieces. And so we wanted the ministers to be floaters because we wanted everybody's voice to be heard. And we went in, we had 2 scribes, we had 2 moderators, we had a floater, and we had a room monitor. In every single room, we had 4 rooms. At Broadway, the former Broadway United Methodist Church, we used their facility, and they didn't charge me anything to use it. And when I got there that day, when we sat and decided what everybody was doing, they said, "So when are we going to do this?" I said, "We're going to do it next week." They said, "Next week? We're not having no more meetings?" I said, "Do you know what you're supposed to do?" "Yeah." "You know what the person beside you is supposed to do?" "Yeah." "Okay, well, we're going to do it." And we did it the next week. 200 people came out to the local conversation in the Department of Justice, black and white. They came out early on a cold Saturday morning in January during Martin Luther King weekend. And we put together a report that was called the Community Corrective Action Report. And that report was used to craft the consent decree for the city of Cleveland. And nobody ever tells anybody that the consent decree came from us.
Wow. But God knows.
Yeah.
Long as he knows. But isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
How you laid the fleece out. And in laying the fleece out, you got 35 people. And it reminded me of one of the scriptures. When Jesus sent the disciples out, he sent them in twos. And he said, the house that hear you, bless it. And the house that don't, shake the dust from your feet. So you continue moving on this train, Harriet Tubman. You kept it going. And then 35 people coming with the knowledge and education that you needed to move forward. And then in a week's time, you all had an event. Wow.
We brought together some 200 some people plus our 35, plus other people who just wanted to be there and didn't want to sign in. And we took all of their information. We had reports, pages and pages of reports. We took all of their information, we brought it back, and I said, everybody who wants to help me put together this report to my house next Friday. And the next Friday, the rest of them came. We used my living room, my dining room, my family room, my kitchen. We took all of those pages, put them up on the walls, sat down at computers, typed them all into it. I gave them all a format. They fed it to me on my computer in my office, and I created the report. And I wish I had a copy of it. I know it's on our website. But the Department of Justice has it on their website. It was in the federal office for their website. The Department of Justice told me it was the best report they had ever seen in their whole time of doing consent decrees.
Because you consulted God first.
Oh, yeah.
See, a lot of times we want to take this upon ourselves as if we did it and forget that we need him to help guide us. And it's steady moving. You all didn't stop there. Let's go to the next stop with this train.
So we decided, okay, well, I said, God, what am I supposed to do? I walked into my job right after we did the local conversation on the Department of Justice and was told I no longer had unemployment. And it was, okay, so what do I do to pay my house note, take care of my son? And he said, I already gave it to you. It's called the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition.
Wow.
And so
Look at God.
I applied for my 501c3 and got it 2 weeks later.
2 weeks. Wow. That had to be God.
God.
For real. 2 weeks.
That's nothing but God.
The state of Ohio, Columbus.
I got it 2 weeks
That
later.
was God.
Yeah.
And what did you do then?
So we decided, what kind of programs we wanted to do. So we know we wanted to do some community engagement programs. We wanted to look at the issues that were impacting African Americans, because what had happened is when we did the report, we knew that, police, the training of police had to be changed. We also knew that African Americans who are young people who are exposed to trauma and violence are more likely to have mental health issues. Our kids who have been in foster care are more likely to have mental health issues. And so it's not just the police coming on the scene. The police is coming on the scene with a young person who may not be mentally stable. And so it's how do you create pieces in order for you to help families understand the dynamics that plays when you're talking about mental illness. And so we created Women Experiencing Love, Life, and Laughter, which I had created before I had the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. So Women Experiencing Love, Life, and Laughter was a program that was created to look at stress and depression in African American women, because only 20% of African American women go through a therapist, but we consult each other all the time. And so it was a way to bring African American women to talk about a very important issue in our community, depression, in a way that was cognizant of our history. So we have that. We have Aches, Pains, and Automobiles, which is a men's health tune-up. It's a car show that includes health screenings for men, because we know that men like cars. And we wanted a way for men to be able to look at the cars, take the screenings, hear a professional talk about how African American men handle stress, because how we handle stress and how they handle stress, two totally different ways that we handle stress. And so we did that. We have an African American Women's Wellness Walk. We now have the first ever urban CPR class, because African American women are more likely to have episodes that impact their heart, or more likely to have a heart attack, or episodes that require CPR, but their families are less likely to be trained. And so it was like, how do we get young people trained for CPR? So on this June 3rd, we're actually going to train 500 people in a day on CPR.
And where would this training take place?
It's going to take place at the EMS office at 1701 Lakeside Avenue.
Okay. Date and time?
And it's June 1st. It's going to run all day. They can register at urbancpr.eventbrite.org. And so we have all of it on the website, and we have it on the Facebook page too.
Okay. Is it an age preference?
Well, we want to get teenagers. We want to get teenagers trained, because teenagers are more likely to see episodes, things that go on. And plus, we have a lot of single moms in the city of Cleveland. So if you're a single mom, then the person that can save you is your child. And so we want to give kids the tools that they need in order for them to be able to help their mothers. And we have a babysitting class scheduled for the next week, and that was the first time ever. And we have it for men, for African American men, because African American men are more likely to be in situations where they're watching other people's babies, not necessarily theirs, and they have no idea about what to do with kids. And so we see a lot of kids who are shaken and injured because people have no clue. So trying to work to make sure the community has the things they need. We created the first ever in the United States conference focused exclusively on African American health disparities. It's created for us, by us, and it's about us. So all the speakers are African American. African Americans have lots and lots of expertise, and we always call other people into the room to talk about the issues that impact us. And for me, I was like, we don't need to call anybody else in the room, because we have the answers. So let's call our experts in to talk about our issues.
The brother that's coming in next week, is it?
On the 19th. So on the 19th, we actually are partnering with the Cleveland Lead Safe Network, which is another organization that I founded. We talk about the issues of lead in the city of Cleveland. So we talk about Flint, Michigan, and we talk about the issues around lead in Flint. And Flint has a 7% are impacted. 7% of their population in Flint, Michigan are impacted by lead. But in Cleveland, it's 14.2%.
Wow.
So we race to make sure that Flint has water, but we're not racing to make sure that we have water. And so it's important for us to know, because lead impacts the brain. It impacts cognitive skills. And so people who are lead impacted do things on a whim. So that might be whether it's shooting, it's just impulsive, fighting, and a lot of violence, a lot of those things that go on. are directly related to the impact of lead. And so we're bringing in a national expert. He's an African American male. His name is Dr. Daryl Hood. He's out of Ohio State University. He is phenomenal. His piece is environmental justice. And so he's going to be talking about the impact of environment.
This is so touching. I'm excited to be part of the organization as a volunteer and whatever you have asked me to do because it's impacting my babies. And a lot of times we forget that my babies are going to be adults and they're going to be parents, husbands, wives, fathers, and mothers. And we need to have the availability for them to learn and be educated. And that CPR is very vital because the older siblings is at home being the babysitter sometimes. So to have the children trained in CPR, just because things happen unexpectedly. Have you experienced, have the organization experienced where you got a call from all of the different workshops and educational forums that you do, how it saved someone's life or changed their lives?
We get a lot of people who come out to our forums, and the first thing they say is, "I've never seen anything like it. It was so impactful to me. It was so impactful to my parent. How can I get involved with the organization?" And for me, that's important because it lets us know that we're making a difference. I think we have so many organizations that kind of come and go in the African American community. But I think it's so important for us to support our organizations. I always tell people that Mary Bethune sold bakery. She sold baked goods in order to fund Bethune Cookman. Well,
Sweet potato pies.
So
yes.
she sold that in order to fund the schools. And so for us, I sell dinners. Like we sell dinners in order for us to do conferences, to fly in speakers. And it's what other organization do you know that's doing that? And it's because for me, this is about God's business. So for me, every day that I do this organization, I work to live my purpose on purpose.
Well, it's a great purpose to live your purpose for a purpose. The wellness walk. I will never forget that. Never. I wasn't able to walk, and I was the cheerleader, which I loved, and I mistakenly called one of my daughter's sister. I'll never forget that. Well, I'm hollering at everybody that's coming past. And she came to me later on, and she was just in tears. I said, "Oh, daughter, what's the matter?" She said, "You didn't call me daughter today." And I needed that. And I told the Lord, I pray that I never forget to call my spiritual daughter's daughter. And I remember sharing it with you. She boo-hooed, she was crying, she was shaking because that wasn't a good day for her. And to see me standing up there cheering you all on. So this is the impact that the organization has. The brothers and the sisters come hurt, and they're coming for a reach out, a touch from us that we can encourage them. And I have another example at we was at Harvard Community Center where the brothers and the sisters were together.
Okay.
And then we all separated. And the young man told me, he said, "I seen you." He said, "And I seen what happened."
Now, the thing that was so phenomenal about the thing that happened at Zelma George at Lucas Park was when you told me, the first thing that came to my mind is, why is she even worried about whether somebody called her sister, daughter, whatever? And I went home and I went to sleep on it. And, for some reason, when I'm trying to sleep, God has other things that he needs to talk with me about. And it was, okay, well, you're going to create a program. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And I went on like, no, I'm not going to do it. Somebody else is going to do it. And so what happened was I ended up creating a program called A Talk with My Daughter, Spiritual Healing for African American Women. And I also created A Talk with My Brother, Spiritual Healing for African American Men. in a talk with my daughter for spiritual healing for African American women, I reserved a room at the Maple Heights Library, thinking, okay, well, if we can get 50 women that would come out, I'll be good. And about 15 minutes later, after I did the Eventbrite post, a lady called the office and she said, "Yeah, I'm trying to register for the talk, and it says that there are no more seats." And I'm like, "There's no more seats? Like, I just put that up there." And when I went up, the seats were all gone. And so in 15 minutes, and so I tried to get a bigger space and tried to do some other things, and we ended up having about 350 women that came out, but we actually had like 1,200 women that were interested.
Wow.
So
and this was in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we are gonna do it again next year. You know,
Okay.
we do it in honor of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks' birthday is on February the 4th, and so we did it as kind of a birthday celebration for her, but also as a connection back to the motherland for us, because we lost that connection when we were brought here, and so for African Americans, we're the only community that calls other people mother. You know, I mean, I don't know any other community that they call other people who have no blood relation to their mother, and guys too. You know, guys do the same thing, and I just think, and they call me and pops. You know, and I think it's because of our disconnection with our ancestors and with the motherland, and for us, it's a way to get back home. And I thought that was, you know, the libations and the prayer, like combining the African pieces with the American pieces and faith. And I thought it was just phenomenal.
It really is. Now, we have an event coming up, and we really need everyone to support this event. We're not at the quota that we need, but we know through God He'll open up doors and have favor. So, daughter, let's talk about that event.
So we have an event scheduled for Saturday, May 6th. It's scheduled from 11 to 2:30 at Lander Haven. It is called Women Experiencing Love, Life, and Laughter. So the acronym is WELL. And it is a hat affair because May 6th also happens to be Derby Day. And so WELL is a way for women to hear about stress and depression, but to hear it in a way that embraces who we are. And that for me is so important. We have gospel music. We have we have Natalie Grant Williams, whose brother sings with the OJs. She's going to sing gospel. We have Alfie Scruggs and Charlita Anderson, who are two African American female blues musicians. But Charlita lives in Lorain County. She is a harmonica player, and she has played at the House of Blues and in New Orleans and some of the other blues places.
Okay.
And then Alfie plays the bass, but she plays like 4 other instruments. And so, you know, like during the daytime, she's a mild-mannered reporter, you know, and in the evening, you know, she's this bass player. And, you know, and the same with Charlita. She's an attorney. But in the evening, she's a harmonica player, and they're phenomenal. And I introduced them, and so they came together to form a group, and they're going to perform for us for the first time ever.
Oh wow, that's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
Isn't someone else coming?
Yeah, we have Honeybell Bay. So
Yes.
Honeybell Bay is I call her the queen of rhyme,
I'm
poetic
telling you.
rhyme. She is absolutely phenomenal. She has a group of young men that she's responsible for, the Gentlemen of Spoken Word, that have traveled all over the
Yes.
world, doing their poetry pieces and their renditions of Dr. King's speeches. But she, in her own right,
Oh yes.
is, I mean, she's phenomenal. And she can make you, just the use of her verbiage makes you feel what she's feeling.
Yes.
And she has been with me since the beginning of Women Experiencing Love, Life, and Laughter.
Wow.
And so this year she'll be there again. You know, we look forward to having her. And then we also will have a therapist. Robin Hill is one of our therapists. It's part of our team, and so she'll be there. And then we have Idella White, who is out of Lorain County, and so she is on the radio show there.
Okay.
And then we have Rhonda Stacy Andrews. So she has a radio station, radio show also. And so they're going to come together as a co-MCs.
Wow.
You know, and I think it's just fun, you know, and then the hats just make it, you know, it
Yes.
just makes it all the more, you know, and so the tickets are $40, and we have a wonderful lunch. This time we're actually going to have a contest, a hat contest, and so people will be able to pick people from their table, winners from their table, and then we'll pick a general winner for the whole thing. But it's just, you know, for me, it wasn't about the hats. It was about the engagement of just being with other women and hearing, you know, just listening, you know, and understanding that, you know, the things that are going on in our life, we're not doing it alone. Other people are experiencing the same things as us, and we all have to have an outlet.
Yeah.
And so this is a fun afternoon way of just kicking back and just enjoying yourself.
I enjoyed it myself. So let's give date and time of the event, your number, your website, and everything so our listeners can contact you.
Okay, it's Saturday, May 6th. It's at Executive Caterers at Lander Haven. It's from 11 to 2:30. The tickets are available at Eventbrite, so you can go to well.eventbrite.com. The tickets are $40. And we also I forgot Miss Charlene.
Oh.
We're bringing in Miss Charlene. So from the Christie Show, she is a Christian comedian out of Atlanta, Georgia, and she is going to fly in. We're flying her in for her to bring us some comedy, you know, because we are talking about love, life, and laughter. So
Very good. But this is another part of you that I love a lot, a whole lot. How you will put together a meal as a fundraiser for the organization. Let's talk about some of those meals. My husband is still talking about the fish dinner, and we bought it, 2 weeks ago. How you come up, God give you these different ideas, the new menu you had the other day. Let's talk about that.
well, we've had a couple other things that we did. Like last year, we created sandal shades and sangria, and we had a band play on my
That was
porch.
fun.
And then we invited people to come to the yard. They paid a fee, and then they got a chance to hear the band, and that was really nice. Everybody said they had a really good time. But with the dinners, we started the dinners because the first time we had the conference 3 years ago, it was how will I pay to get the speakers here? You know, like nobody was giving us funding, and it's still the case. You know, none of the foundations will fund our programs, but they fund other people's programs that do lesser work than we do. And so it was like, how do we get, you know, our speakers here and sell dinners? So we chose Mother's Day as the day that we sold dinners. And so I took to my porch, and so we sold dressing, yams, macaroni and cheese, roasted chicken, and then I had desserts and other things. I know I had greens or green beans. And I sold enough dinners that day to fly in all my speakers.
Look at God. Look at God.
In 4 hours. So
One thing about us, we love to eat. Even though our time is wrapping up, we have 2 minutes left, but we love to eat. Give us a good meal. We don't think nothing about the doctor with high blood pressure, diabetes, gout. We don't think about none of that because we love to eat.
But I do healthy soul food.
Yes,
so.
you sure do. It's very healthy. But I want to thank you so much for finding time in your busy schedule to come on the show today. And without you all, there is no Queen on the Scene. There is no Lady Gilmore. And like I say, you love my babies. You love my babies. And I want to thank everybody that took our time today to sit here and learn a little bit more that we are soldiers in the army of the Lord. And we're going to do whatever the Lord places in our hearts to do. And we're going to do it well because He ordered our steps. And on that note of the Lord ordering my steps, daughter's steps, pastor's steps, peace.
25-cent advertisement. Advertise with us today for only 25 cents.